So I'd like to show to you exactly how we can separate this subject from this background and change the background to whatever color we want. First, I like using the pen tool. For those of you who do not know how to use the pen tool, then I really say this will be a bit of worry to you. But if you know how to use the pen tool, then we can go direct and start doing the subject selection. And also there are so many other things you can use in order to select the subject out of this. You can use the magic wand tool, or you can go direct. If you click on selection, you can see select subject over here, which you can just choose that. But I like to use the pen tool because I like to be precise with what I want to do, or where I want my selection to pass immediately. So without further ado, I think it's time for us to start. We can select the pen tool, which is over here, or we can just press the P on our keyboard, P, and we have the pen tool selected. I will definitely not be explaining how the pen tool works because I want to show you exactly how you can change your background. Back to Control 0, and now you go to selection, or you right click inside this path we have created, and then you say make selection. You make a selection and hit OK. So I just made a copy of the background, so we keep the background and we're working on this copy now. So from here I'm gonna hit mask, and if I remove this, you see the background is gone. If I bring it, you see the background is there. So it's the same image that's been portrayed onto this point. So like that and out. Now what if we say we want to put a background behind him? Okay, so we click on the layer below. So whatever layer we create comes above this and under the image. So if I take a solid color like this, you see, if I choose what color I want, you can see the color directly coming above him. Okay, you can click somewhere there and you take the slider up and down, you see the difference of the colors and so on and so forth. So let's say we want a blue as a cyan background like this, and we click OK. Now we have a cyan background, but we are not yet done. As you can see, we have this point around his eyes which we were supposed to crop out, but we didn't because it contains some hair. You can see, you see the hairs over here. So we have to clean this part of his body. So in order to do that, we double click on our layer. As you can see, you go to select and mask. Okay, now you want to select this tool over here, which is refine edge brush tool. Select, and what happens when you do the selection, artificial intelligence will actually work out that area. You see what happens? Now the background is gone. You see, this color of the background we had before, it's gone. Now we have just the hairs which are left. And also from this point you can decide if you want to change the radius of what you are having. Like if we take the radius up, you see it actually brings in the background into this image, and which actually makes this picture match a lot in comparison to the background. And in that case, it actually fades the image. Okay, if you look somewhere around the ears here, you can see the background from there. which means this radius slider actually fades the image. Okay, so if I take it down, you can see the difference on the image. So what you want to do is bring it down just a little bit so that it doesn't affect your image that much. So it will be like the image we had before, where we had the background splitting onto the subject. Okay, so we want to have the same feeling, because if we take all over here, you can see some background of the old background being spilled onto the subject. So you want to take the radius a little more forward so as to have this background as well spilled onto this subject, so it makes a better composition. Because like I said before, you see over here we have bluish cyan color on the blue t-shirt he is putting on, which actually makes the image composite a lot with the background. So you see the change. So you want to take this to somewhere like 5 or 6. I think 8 is not bad. 8 is not bad. You want to make sure you check every angle of the image, so there's not a point which is wiped out, like here around the watch. Okay, see, when we take it more, it actually wipes out that area. Somewhere there, let's say 7. 7 is good. Yeah, it's not affecting his hair, it's not affecting so much of our original image. So remember, whatever we are doing on the layer mask which we've created. And so, what was that? And sometimes you also want to take up the contrast. Now if I take up the contrast, you can see what difference it creates. It makes the edge of the image very sharp. You see, if I take down the contrast, you see what happens. Take it down to 0. So there is actually a less amount of this. So now we hit OK because we are happy with the selection, and we go Control 0. So now you see how the image looks. Now if we go and change our backgrounds like before, you will see that it actually makes a lot of sense. You see that? You see? So this is how you can change your backgrounds in Photoshop and make clipping mask as well of images that you want. So let's get going with our styling, photo styling and so on. So hit OK, and now we come to our image. So we have a pretty image over here. It's an image of a Dubai mall. The only worry I have about this image is that the resolution is really less, because I didn't shoot this photo. This photo was just downloaded on the internet, so I didn't shoot this photo. In that case, you definitely not find the same image as compared to the size of the image which you have to composite with, and that's where the problem is. So now I want to bring this my subject into this layer. So I hit this and go from P, I hit a V on my keyboard to get the move tool. So this one is the move tool. The marquee tool, we have the polygonal laser tool. So these are the laser tool, these are the magic wand tool, which are all used in selecting. This and this almost have the same use. So you hold down onto the subject, and always remember the layer which is selected, that's what will be affected. So you hold down onto the subject, pick it, bring it to the next windows and drop it in. So you see the subject is very big as compared to the image. So you want to hold Ctrl T, and since the subject is very big, you want to reduce the size so you'll be able to see. So you can see this is the size of the original canvas, and this is the size of the image we want to put our subject on. So you can imagine how small it is. You can imagine how small this image is. So if we hit Ctrl 0, it comes up to this, and we hit enter. You see, even our subject does not fit in there. See, the resolution is so poor that even our subject does not match to that resolution. You can see as I move the subject around, in another case, what if you take this one below this one? You see what happens? It's just like a tiny piece of an art behind the subject. If you do a Ctrl T and enlarges this, and hit enter, you see what happened. The image is really less as compared to the subject. Now if you come here to check your canvas size, you can go to image and canvas size. It's a width of 4752 by 3168. Click OK and go to background, image, canvas size. Okay, so background. So you come over here and select this guy and hit image size. So you see the image size over here is, let's put it in pixel. So the original size is a 9 by this centimeters, so let's put it in pixel. So it's a 299, which is very small as compared to what we had before. 299. That's the image size of this guy, of which this guy was image size 4752. So you can see the difference. Image size 43.1 megabyte for this image. And remember, the resolution is 300 and the resolution over there was 70. So whenever you're trying to composite images, make sure you pick an image which actually it's almost half of what you want, because if you don't do that, you get something else as compared to what you wanted. So let's go to our files and see if we can get some good images on there, which we can composite with this one. Okay, I just found some pretty good images, but we have a problem, and the problem is that these images which I have got, they are They are not bad, but they are not bad. But what? Just but. Okay. Let's not waste the whole time here. So we're gonna pick this image and drop it somewhere in the Canva. And as you can see, the image which we brought into this Canva, it's quite bigger than what we have here. So we go minus. Sorry, the image which we have, the Canva image which we have, is quite bigger than the one we imported right now. The background image which we've imported right now, you can see this is it, and this is our original image. So this one is really much bigger than the background image. So what we want to do is we can reduce the size of this one, and remember, this image from the background shows that it is night, and this one shows it is daylight. So you need to composite this image to match something similar to this background. So what we want to do, Control T, reduce our image just somewhere here. Yeah, yes, somewhere here. And we can as well flip this image like that, and then we bring it this side. Okay, so it seems like our subject is looking somewhere this side. And we can keep it somewhere here. You can even take it down more and more, and then we hit OK. Now it's time for composition. So what I want to do is I want to create a hue selection, hue layer. So we go to hue and saturation, and now our hue and saturation layer is created. So what I want to do, hold down Alt, and you see this arrow, and I click. So whatever I do here affects my image only and nothing else. You see, whatever I do there affect only the image and nothing else. So I want to keep the image a little less light, take it somewhere which I think should match nicely to what we have in the environment. Okay, reduce the red to somewhere there. Okay, we are almost there. So you see, if you actually take these things out, it makes it look nasty. So we want to keep it somewhere here. Right, reduce a little bit more, picking the whites up a little more. Yeah. Now remember, if I want to take this effect of hue and saturation out of the skin tone. Let's take this out. You can see if you want to take this effect out of the skin tone, then you need to do something. Select the skin tone on its own and so forth and so forth. But that's not what we are looking for right here. So we want to create the next thing to do like a color balance. First we come here, hit color balance. Now we have a color balance selected. If we do any change, it affects the whole image. As you can see, you see that it affects the whole image, both the background and the subject. So if I click now here, see I have my subject down a little bit. So that's how you want to composite and make sure your subject actually matches to the background. You can see the difference of what we have, the before and the after. So you see how we have matched our subject to this environment. It's almost looking the same as what we have. So what we want to do right now is to some people they might let it go this way, but to me I think we can do a little bit of touch in here. For instance, if you look at the edge of his head, you can see these beautiful lines passing by. What if we assume that there was a big light source somewhere here coming out of from the background, which might definitely cause this ray of light above him? It will definitely be a nice idea, but we don't want that to happen. So what we want to do is to get rid of these points over the head. So we go back to select. So what you want to do, double click on your mask and go to select and mask. Now when we go to select and mask, we zoom. We are not going to select anything, so we want to use the feather. If you hit feather, you see actually goes out, bring it in. Okay, so we want to use a shift edge. See, shift edge, if you shift, you see what happens. If we shift on the negative side, it actually gets into the subject. Okay, take for instance, if we leave it here, you see how it has removed the hairs of the subject over here. It has taken out all that white points with the shift edge. See, it has taken out, chopped out all the white points that we have. So since we need some of those hairs, we want to shift it a little bit downward, and we monitor how much difference it is creating on our subject. So now we can see those eyelashes a little more. So let's keep it at 50. I think at 50 it's very okay. If you zoom, you can see that the edge of the subject is not that much having a spill of the background as compared to what we had before. Hit OK, and there you go. Now you have a very nice and pretty image. And in the overall, you might definitely want to select both of these layers, including the adjustments. Control, click one of these, go up, hold down shift and click the last one, so all will be selected. Then control, we want to group this, control G, and put all of this in a group. So if I go, you see what happened. And what if we add up a curves layer so that we can actually tweak these both layers together, since they are in a group, so they can be tweaked together. So now as we are walking, you can see how nice the image looks like. You see, we have the image looking so pretty. You can see the after, the before and the after. before and after. Now it makes more sense to us because you can see it shows like there's another source of light from this side hitting the subject, creating these shadows around his chest, and there is this moonlight which is also creating these shadows around the chair, which is something amazing. And I will leave the composition at this point because I feel satisfied about it. I don't know what you feel, but I think this is okay as compared to what you might be thinking. Right now you can do whatever you want with your subject. Take the subject to the moon, take it to the sun. Just do what you want.